Today I'm going to tell you about polar bears. Polar bears are a hypercarnivorous bear whose native range lies within the Arctic Circle, encompassing the Arctic Ocean, its surrounding seas, and surrounding land masses. Adult male polar bears weigh 772 to 1,543 pounds. Around the Beaufort Sea, however, mature males reportedly average 992 pounds. Adult females are roughly half the size of males and normally weigh 331 to 551 pounds, measuring 5 feet 11 inches to 7 feet 10 inches in length. Elsewhere, a slightly larger estimated average weight of 573 pounds was claimed for adult females. Pregnant females, however, can weigh as much as 1,102 pounds. The largest polar bear on record, reported weighing 2,209 pounds, was a male shot at Kotzebue Sound in northwestern Alaska in 1960. This specimen was mounted and it stood 11 feet 1 inches tall on its hind legs. The polar bear is the apex predator within its range and is a keystone species for the Arctic. Several animal species, particularly Arctic foxes and glaucous gulls, routinely scavenge polar bear kills. The relationship between ring seals and polar bears is so close that the abundance of ring seals in some areas appears to regulate the density of polar bears, while polar bear predation in turn regulates density and reproductive success of ring seals. The evolutionary pressure of polar bear predation on seals probably accounts for some significant differences between Arctic and Antarctic seals. Compared to the Antarctic, where there is no major surface predator, Arctic seals use more breathing holes per individual, appear more restless when hauled out of the ocean, and rarely defecate on the ice. The baby fur of most Arctic seal species is white, presumably to provide camouflage from predators, whereas Antarctic seals all have dark fur at birth. The polar bear is the most carnivorous member of the bear family, and through most of its range, its diet primarily consists of ring and bearded seals. The Arctic is home to millions of seals, which becomes prey when they surface in holes in the ice in order to breathe, or when they haul out on the ice to rest. Polar bears hunt primarily at the interface between ice, water, and air. They only rarely catch seals on land or in open water. Although seal predation is the primary and indispensable way of life for most polar bears, when alternatives are present, they are quite flexible. Polar bears consume a wide variety of other wild foods, including muskox, reindeer, birds, eggs, rodents, crabs, other crustaceans, and other polar bears. They may also eat plants including berries, roots, kelp. However, none of these have been a significant part of their diet, except for beach-cast marine mammal carcasses. Given the change in climate, with ice breaking up in areas such as the Hudson Bay area that it used to be, polar bears are exploiting food resources such as snow geese and eggs, and plants such as lyme grass in increased quantities. When stalking land animals such as muskox, reindeer, and even willow ptarmigan, polar bears appear to make use of vegetative cover and wind direction to bring them as close to their prey as possible before attacking. Courtship and mating takes place on the sea ice in April and May, when polar bears congregate in the best sea hunting areas. A male may follow the tracks of a breeding female for 60 miles or more, and after finding her, engage in intense fighting with other males over mating rights. Fights that often result in scars and broken teeth. Polar bears have a generally polygynous mating system. Recent genetic testing of mothers and cubs, however, has uncovered cases of litters in which cubs have different fathers. Partners stay together and mate repeatedly for an entire week. Female polar bears begin to breed at the age of 4 years in most areas and 5 years in the Beaufort Sea area. Males usually reach sexual maturity at 6 years. However, as competition for females is fierce, many do not breed until the age of 8 or 10. A study in Hudson Bay indicated that both the reproductive success and the maternal weight of females peaked in the mid-teens. Polar bears appear to be less affected by infectious diseases and parasites than most terrestrial mammals. Polar bears are especially susceptible to trichinella, a parasitic roundworm they contract through cannibalism. Although infections are usually not fatal, only one case of a polar bear with rabies has been documented. Even though polar bears frequently interact with Arctic foxes, which often carry rabies, bacterial leptospirosis and morbillivirus have been recorded. Polar bears sometimes have a problem with various skin diseases that may be caused by mites or other parasites. Polar bear population sizes and trends are difficult to estimate accurately because they occupy remote home ranges and exist at low population densities. Polar bear fieldwork can also be hazardous to researchers. As of 2015, the International Union for Conservation of Nature reports that the global population of polar bears is 22,000 to 31,000, and the current population trend is unknown. Nevertheless, polar bears are listed as vulnerable under criterion A3C, which indicates, as expected, population decrease of -30 over the next 3 generations. Due to decline in areas of occupancy, extent of occurrence, and or quality of habitat, risks to the polar bear includes climate change, pollution in the form of toxic contaminants, conflicts with shipping oil, and gas and oil exploration and development. Also, human-bear interactions, including harvesting and possible stresses from recreational polar bear watching. Oil and gas development in polar bear habitat can affect the polar bear in a variety of ways. An oil spill in the Arctic would most likely concentrate in the area where polar bears and their prey are also concentrated, such as sea ice leads. Because polar bears rely partly on their fur for insulation, and soiling of the fur by oil reduces its insulative value. Oil spills put bears at risk of dying from hypothermia. Polar bears exposed to oil spill conditions have been observed to lick the oil from their fur, leading to fatal kidney failure. Maternity dens used by pregnant females and by females with infants can also be disturbed by nearby oil exploration and development. Disturbances of these sensitive sites may trigger the mother to abandon her den prematurely or abandon her litter altogether. Polar bears rarely live beyond 25 years. The oldest wild polar bears on record died at age 32, whereas the oldest captive was a female who died in 1991 at age 43. The cause of death in wild adult polar bears is poorly understood, as carcasses are rarely found in the species' frigid habitat. In the wild, old polar bears eventually become too weak to catch food and gradually starve to death. Polar bears injured in fights or accidents may either die from their injuries or become unable to hunt effectively, leading to starvation. Thanks for watching this Adventurous Kids episode.